Some background. My family lives on a large piece of land that my parents bought specifically to have privacy. We have a long driveway that connects to the main road, but our house sits far back from everything else. My parents always wanted space from neighbors after having bad experiences in the past. We have 5 dogs that need room to run, and honestly, we all enjoy the quiet. The problem was that over the past year, the brush around our house had gotten really out of control. With the pandemic keeping everyone home, my parents decided it was finally time to clear it all up. We rented a bush hog and planned to spend the weekend cleaning up the property. Yesterday, we were about 3 hours into clearing brush. I was using the weed eater while my brother and dad were hauling cut branches to our fire pit. My mom was supervising the burn, making sure everything was safe. We dug a proper ditch around the fire pit and had water nearby. We're not idiots. I was focused on my work, the weed eater making a lot of noise, when suddenly I heard someone shouting. I turned around to see a woman I'd never seen before standing at the edge of our clearing. The woman started yelling about how we were murdering nature. I turned off the weed eater, confused about who this person was and how she got onto our property. When I asked her what she meant, she just repeated her accusation that we were murdering nature. I explained that we were just cleaning up our property because of the pandemic and told her to leave since we were practicing social distancing. That's when she noticed our burn pile, and her eyes got huge. She started screaming about how we were trying to turn our property into Australia. I quickly explained that we had dug a ditch around the fire and were taking all necessary precautions. What happened next was crazy. This woman spotted a shovel leaning against a tree near her. She grabbed it and actually charged at me with it raised. Before I could even react, my brother tackled her to the ground, yelling at her never to touch me and calling her a jerk. The woman immediately started screaming about assault and demanding someone help her, claiming what my brother did was illegal. My mom told my brother to get off of the woman, calling her a witch. My brother got up but made sure to take the shovel away from her first. Then he walked back to continue working at the burn pile about 40 feet away. The woman threatened to call the police, claiming we were disturbing the peace. My dad stepped in at this point, pointing out that we lived at least half a mile from anyone else and asking her again to leave us alone. This argument continued for about 20 minutes. She refused to leave our property and kept threatening to call the police. Eventually, my dad told her to go ahead and call them since we weren't doing anything wrong. When the police finally arrived, the woman claimed that we had kidnapped her and tried to burn her. My brother shouted from the burn pile that she was lying, calling her a witch again, and pointing out that she had come onto our property uninvited. He directed their attention to her car, which was parked at the edge of our land. The first police officer seemed tired of the situation already and simply told the woman to leave. She refused, insisting that we were breaking the law and demanding that all of us be arrested. The second officer pointed out that nothing we were doing was illegal since we were on our own property. Getting desperate, the woman then accused us of trying to grape her too. The first officer asked my dad if we had security cameras, and my dad confirmed that we did have them because of our 5 dogs. When the officer asked to see the footage, the woman confidently stated that the video would prove my brother had assaulted her, pointing at him accusingly. My dad took one of the officers to our security system, while the other stayed with the woman. About 15 minutes later, the officer returned with handcuffs, instructing the woman to put her hands behind her back. They arrested her for trespassing, filing a false police report, and attempted assault with a shovel. The whole time they were putting her in the police car, she was screaming about how we were destroying the environment and that she was going to sue everyone. After they took her away, we called a tow company to remove her car from our property. This is exactly why my parents bought land so far from other people. People can be completely insane, and it's better to have distance between us and them. The rest of the neighborhood houses are all close together, but we get to enjoy our privacy, most of the time anyway. We finished clearing the brush today and everything looks great. No more unexpected visitors so far. I'm a mom who uses a wheelchair due to a car accident 3 years ago that left me with partial paralysis in my legs. It hasn't stopped me from living my life though, and last month I became a mother to the most beautiful baby girl in the world. My husband and I had been trying for a baby for years before my accident, and we almost gave up hope afterward. The pregnancy itself was challenging. Lots of doctor visits, special accommodations, and constant worry. But when I held my daughter for the first time, all those struggles melted away. She was perfect. Last week, I decided to get out of the house while the weather was nice. My husband drove us to the shopping center, and I felt so happy just sitting outside in my wheelchair, holding my sleeping baby while he ran in to pick up a few things we needed. The sunshine felt amazing on my face after being cooped up at home during my recovery from childbirth. Everything was peaceful until I noticed a woman walking toward me with her child, who looked around 7 or 8 years old. The woman commented on how cute my baby was and asked if she could hold her. Before I could even respond, she literally reached down and snatched my baby from my arms. My heart stopped. She then immediately handed my newborn to her child. I frantically asked what she was doing and demanded she give my baby back. I started screaming and crying, reaching out desperately from my wheelchair. People nearby turned to look at what was happening. The woman responded in a casual tone that her child needed to learn how to hold a baby. The way she said it, like she was explaining why she borrowed a pen, made me feel physically ill. Her child looked uncomfortable, barely supporting my baby's head properly. I told her that even if her child did need to learn, it didn't give her the right to take my baby without permission. I pointed out that her child wasn't even interested in holding the baby and that babies aren't toys to be passed around. I was shaking with anger and fear. My baby started crying, which only made me more frantic. The woman told me not to be so dramatic, claiming they were just looking. She accused me of scaring my baby with all my screaming. I shot back that I wasn't the one scaring my baby. She had stolen my baby from my arms. I demanded she give her back immediately. Some shoppers had gone into the store to alert my husband, and suddenly I saw him sprinting toward us. My husband carefully took our baby from the woman's child and handed her back to me. I clutched her tightly, checking to make sure she was okay, while tears streamed down my face. My husband angrily questioned what she thought she was doing. The woman downplayed the situation, saying she was just letting her child hold the baby and claiming it wasn't a big deal. My husband responded that it was indeed a big deal since she took a baby from its mother without permission. He told her she wasn't going anywhere. The woman tried to walk away, but my husband blocked her path while calling the police on his phone. Several bystanders came forward and said they had witnessed the whole thing. The woman complained that the situation was ridiculous and denied stealing anything. My husband pointed out that she had literally taken a baby from a woman in a wheelchair who couldn't chase after her, calling it assault and attempted kidnapping. The police arrived in about 10 minutes, though it felt like hours. The woman kept insisting she'd done nothing wrong. But with multiple witnesses backing our story, the officers handcuffed her and started leading her to the police car. As they were taking her away, I felt a surge of courage. I told her I didn't understand what she was thinking when she snatched a stranger's baby. I explained that she should have asked for permission first and respected my boundaries. I described how her actions caused me distress and emphasized that it's never okay to take someone's baby without consent. I pointed out the safety issues. My baby could have had allergies or health conditions. I finished by telling her it was unfair to assume she could take my baby just because she wanted her child to learn how to hold one. The woman rolled her eyes as the officers put her in the back of the patrol car. Her child was taken by another officer to wait for a family member to pick them up. My husband came back to us, wrapping his arms around me and our baby. He asked if we were both okay, and I assured him we were now, thanking him for coming when he did. We later found out that the woman was charged with assault and attempted child abduction. Her defense was that she was just being friendly, but the judge didn't buy it. She ended up with community service and mandatory parenting classes. I still get anxious when strangers approach us in public, but I'm working on it. My husband rarely leaves my side now when we're out together with the baby. I'm just grateful that what could have been a tragedy ended with my baby safe in my arms, where she belongs. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for nearly 10 years now. It started as a way to cope with social anxiety in college, but it quickly became my favorite hobby. There's something magical about gathering around a table with friends, rolling dice, and creating stories together. 3 years ago, I found this amazing local game store that hosts weekend D&D sessions. My brother and I became regulars, and the store has become like a second home to us. The owner and the regulars are the kindest people you'll ever meet. One guy who helps organize the trading card tournaments is particularly awesome. He volunteers his time to judge competitions and provides consultation on rare cards. He's been collecting for over 20 years and knows everything about the game. The store wouldn't be the same without him. This past weekend, I was running a session for our long-running campaign. My brother and I decided to order food since we'd be there for several hours. He placed 2 separate orders, Wendy's for me and Five Guys for himself. We arrived at the store a bit late, hurrying in with our arms full of gaming supplies, books, dice bags, miniatures, character sheets, the works. And when we walked in, we saw both delivery orders had arrived. The Wendy's driver had simply left the bag on the counter and gone on their way. Perfectly reasonable. But the Five Guys driver was just standing there, waiting. The moment we entered, he immediately tried to hand my brother the greasy bag. My brother's hands were completely full with all his gaming gear, so he politely asked the driver to just set the food down on the counter. Instead of placing it on the empty counter space, this driver decided to put the extremely greasy bag. If you've ever had Five Guys, you know how oily those bags get, directly onto someone's expensive card game mat. It happened to belong to the volunteer tournament judge who was setting up for an event. The judge looked up, clearly surprised, and very politely asked the driver not to put the greasy bag on his valuable cards and mat. The driver responded rudely, rolling his eyes and telling the judge he was a jerk before storming out. The judge immediately followed him outside and called out to the driver, asking for his name so he could report this behavior to the delivery service. The driver completely ignored him, got in his car, and sped out of the parking lot, tires squealing. I felt horrible. If I hadn't asked my brother to order food, none of this would have happened. I was about to apologize to everyone when the store phone rang. The co-manager answered it, and we could all hear yelling coming through the receiver. The driver was calling to complain. The co-manager answered the call with his usual friendly greeting. We could all hear the driver yelling through the phone, claiming that our employee had been extremely rude to him and had followed him into the parking lot to harass him. The co-manager tried to explain that there seemed to be some confusion and asked if the driver could come back to discuss the situation, but the driver hung up before the co-manager could finish speaking. The co-manager looked confused since the judge isn't even an employee. He's just a dedicated volunteer who loves the gaming community. About 15 minutes later, 2 police officers walked into the store. My heart dropped. The driver had actually called the police and claimed that the judge had blocked his car in the parking lot, preventing him from leaving. A complete fabrication. The co-manager was so upset he had to step outside to avoid having a panic attack. I felt responsible for this mess, but what happened next showed me why I love this community so much. Every single gamer in the store immediately rallied around the judge. One by one, people approached the officers to give statements about what really happened. Everyone was calm, respectful, and clear. The first police officer asked for confirmation about what had happened, wanting to know if the delivery driver had really placed a greasy bag on valuable cards and then become hostile when asked not to. My brother confirmed this was exactly what happened, explaining that the judge had only followed the driver outside to get his name for a complaint to the delivery service and had never blocked anyone's car. The second officer asked if multiple people had witnessed this incident. Another gamer immediately spoke up, saying that at least 15 people had seen the whole thing. This gamer even offered to be arrested in the judge's place if the officers thought someone needed to be arrested, and several others quickly agreed they would do the same. The officers quickly realized what was happening and assured us no one was getting arrested. One officer even let me hold his flashlight when I asked. I was trying to lighten the mood, and they were incredibly professional throughout the entire interaction. After they left, we all reported the driver through the delivery app and called customer service to explain the situation. The representative assured us they would investigate the incident. It turned out one of our regular players works for the delivery company's regional office. After hearing about what happened, she promised to personally look into it. 2 days later, she confirmed the driver had been removed from the platform for filing a false police report and harassing customers. Also, the judge bought everyone pizza the following weekend to thank us for standing up for him. I've been working at this factory for about 8 months now. We make those little plastic plant markers you stick in the dirt to remember what you planted where. My job is pretty straightforward. I pull the finished products off the press, measure them to make sure they meet specifications, and stack them on pallets. The pallets then go to packaging where another team takes care of the rest. I got this job through a contracting agency when I needed work after moving to this small industrial town. The pay isn't amazing, but it's steady, and most of my co-workers are decent people. Most of them. There's this one press operator who drives me absolutely crazy. I can't use his real name, so let's just call him the micromanager. This guy acts like he's the floor supervisor when he's just another operator like everyone else. The difference is he's a permanent employee while I'm contracted through an agency. The micromanager has this annoying habit of coming over to my station and rearranging the bundles I've already stacked. He's constantly telling me how to do tiny, insignificant things that have zero impact on the final product. The micromanager would regularly criticize my work, saying the bundles weren't perfectly straight and that I needed to align them better. When I would explain that they were within measurement specifications and stacked fine, he would dismiss my response, insisting that wasn't good enough. He would also comment that I was starting the stack from the wrong direction. I would try to reason with him, explaining that the packaging team didn't care which direction we started the stack as long as all the bundles faced the same way. His response was always that if I messed up, he would be the one in trouble. I would remind him that since I was contracted through a different company, any problems with my work would fall on me, not him. He would just brush this off, claiming that his longer tenure meant he knew how things worked better than I did. This kind of interaction happened nearly every day. He'd hover around my station, watching me work, then swoop in to fix things that weren't broken. It was starting to affect my productivity, and frankly, my mental health. I dreaded shifts when I knew we'd be working together. The final straw came last Tuesday. We were working on a large order of plant markers, and I had been carefully measuring and stacking bundles all morning. We had a pallet that occasionally had odd-sized bundles, ones with fewer pieces because we were at the end of a production run. Micromanager came over and started rearranging my work again. He insisted that I needed to put the odd bundles in the middle of the stack, not flush with the side. When I tried to explain that the packaging team had never complained about how I stacked them, and that as long as they were secure and within spec it was fine, he cut me off. He rudely suggested that if I couldn't do it right, perhaps I should find another job. Something inside me snapped, but instead of losing my temper, I decided to give him exactly what he wanted. I agreed with him, saying that he was right and that I should do it exactly how he told me to. We had already completed 47 out of 50 bundles for this order. I started taking every single bundle off the pallet and fixing them according to his ridiculous standards. I made sure each one was perfectly straight, perfectly flat, and that all odd bundles were positioned exactly in the middle of the stack. This process was painstakingly slow. The micromanager stood watching me for a few minutes, then walked away to check on his press. When he returned about 20 minutes later, I had disassembled almost the entire pallet and was carefully rebuilding it. He was shocked and asked what I was doing, pointing out that we needed to finish the order today. I innocently replied that I was just doing it the way he taught me, and that I didn't want him to get in trouble. He tried to backtrack, saying that wasn't what he meant, and that I was taking too long. I reminded him that he had said if I messed up, it would be on his head. When he reluctantly agreed, I further questioned if he was the boss and knew the right way to do things. As he confirmed this, I explained I was just making sure everything was perfect according to his standards. He stared at me, finally realizing what was happening. He told me to just put the bundles back how they were originally. I asked for clarification, confirming that he wanted them exactly as they were before, When he said yes and to do it quickly, I complied by putting them back exactly as they had been, with all but one odd bundle flush with the side of the pallet, not in the middle like he had insisted was the right way. The whole episode put us behind schedule by about an hour, and the micromanager had to explain to the shift supervisor why we were running late. I didn't hear the conversation, but he hasn't bothered me about my stacking technique since.